The whole world knows it has nothing to do about the performance. It's a little bit personal than that. So I think that's it's a disrespectful thing. Last time I played on this field, I tore my Achilles. And that same fan base, they cheered when I got hurt. So does that have to do with, what does that have to do with anything about performance? When a person get hurt, especially for your own city, and they cheer.
Does any of that make you regret coming here?
No, I don't regret anything in my life.
So there's that. So the relationship that had already been questionable between Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland fan base takes that turn over the weekend. They will name their starting quarterback today. What do you think?
They should name Shedeur Sanders to be their starting quarterback. I don't think they can have Deshaun Watson on the team after that interaction. And if they somehow come out today and name Deshaun Watson their starting quarterback,
nobody saw this coming. Not the Cleveland media, not the fans who bought season tickets hoping for a savior, and definitely not Deshaun Watson, because one press conference just blew the whole thing up. One answer, so tone-deaf, so out of touch, that it may have just handed Shedeur Sanders the starting job before Todd Monken even opened his mouth. But what happened next exposed a double standard so outrageous, even longtime NFL analysts couldn't stay quiet about it.
He sat out a year because he didn't like Houston anymore. He had a list of teams he wanted to be traded to. He told Cleveland they were off the list. They come back, they guarantee him $230 million over 5 years. He said, okay, fine, I'll go. So the fan base knows you didn't want to be here. Then you show up, you're suspended for the first 11 games of your time there because of what Dominique was talking about before. He's never really owned up to that. And over the course of the first 3 years, you play a total of 19 games. You play poorly in all of them. The team doesn't win. You missed last year completely because you tore your Achilles and then you tore it again while you're rehabbing. You come out, you got to beat out a 5th-round pick for the starting job. You're making $46 million this year. You got to beat out a 5th-round pick, and you can't clearly do it. They have every right to boo.
And then this past weekend did not play well. I was with us after week 1, and I said, week 1, I thought Deshaun played better than Shedeur.
Let's set the scene. Saturday night, Cleveland Browns Stadium. Deshaun Watson jogs out, and the fans boo him loudly. Now, most quarterbacks take that on the chin, not Watson. After the game, a reporter asks him a simple question, and what comes out of his mouth changes everything. He says the boos have nothing to do with performance. He calls it personal. He brings up his torn Achilles and accuses the same fans of cheering when he got hurt. Pause on that for a second. A quarterback making $46 million this season just told the city of Cleveland their frustration isn't earned, and that's when the dam broke. Here's where things get crazy, because Dan Orlovsky didn't let that slide, not for 1 second. He looked at the cameras and said it plainly. If this is strictly football, it's a coin flip. But after that press conference, he said Cleveland can't have him on the team. Strong words from a former NFL quarterback on national television, and he wasn't finished. Orlovsky reminded everyone, Watson sat out a full year in Houston because he didn't want to be there. He gave Cleveland a list of teams he wanted, and Cleveland wasn't even on it. Then they paid him $230 million guaranteed anyway. Let that sink in. That's not even the most shocking part. Because after the money, after the suspension for the first 11 games, after everything, Watson still played poorly. 19 games in 3 years. The team didn't win. Then last season, gone completely, torn Achilles, then torn again in rehab. And now, in year 4, he's fighting to keep his job against a rookie taken in the 5th round. A 5th-round pick, making $46 million, and he can't put the job away. So when Watson stands up and says the boos aren't about performance, even his own analysts on national TV can't defend that.
loves Shedeur.
And I don't know what you would point to justify that, because to your point, like, you can look at their numbers, but it's the way that they're playing. Deshaun Watson is more prone to take checkdowns at this point. Shedeur Sanders isn't perfect, and the interception that he had in the last game was the tip ball, so I don't put that on him, and he had an interception down the field in the previous game. But the thing about Shedeur is he's young. You could anticipate there's a potential that he could get better, but he's like trying to win the job. He's attacking downfield in a way that you want your quarterback to do, and he's much better on those intermediate routes than Deshaun Watson.
But how much of this is a football decision right now?
Yeah.
Like, truly,
The Browns are going to tell you it's completely a football.
it can't be, though. Like, it can't be.
But this is a front office that is process driven, analytics driven, all these kinds of things. The reason Deshaun is still on the team, in spite of being clearly the worst acquisition in the history of the National Football League, is because they have stubbornly.
Now compare that to Shedeur Sanders, a kid the media spent an entire draft season tearing apart, slid all the way to the 5th round, got mocked, got doubted, got questioned by every analyst with a microphone. And what's he doing right now? Attacking downfield, taking chances, playing like a guy who knows this might be his only shot. Orlovsky said it flat out. Shedeur is much better on those intermediate routes than Deshaun Watson. The same Deshaun Watson who was handed the richest guaranteed contract in NFL history at the time. A 5th-round rookie outplaying a $230 million quarterback, and Cleveland still hasn't officially said his name. Here's where the media's argument completely falls apart, because this was never just about talent. Orlovsky dropped the number that explains everything. If Cleveland cuts Deshaun Watson right now, they eat $127 million in dead cap space. $127 million. Nobody in football has that kind of room. So even if Shedeur wins the job today, Watson isn't going anywhere. He'll still be standing on that sideline, still collecting a check, still a shadow over the whole organization. Cleveland didn't just make a bad bet. They made a bet they can't walk away from no matter what happens on the field, because the numbers tell a completely different story than the money does. Watson takes checkdowns, plays it safe, looks like a quarterback protecting a contract, not fighting for a job. Shedeur, he's slinging it downfield like a guy trying to win one. Yes, he threw an interception last game, but look closer, a tipped ball, not on him. Meanwhile, Watson struggled against what was mostly backups and third stringers from Buffalo, against backups, and still couldn't pull away. That's the quarterback battle Cleveland is supposedly still deciding.
They can't do it. Nobody has that kind of cap room. And so they're in a position where he's on the team because he has to be. If you go with Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson's still going to be on the team. There's nothing they can do about that. No one's trading for him, and even if they did, you'd still have the dead money to deal with. The Cleveland has dug themselves a hole with this. They did it with their eyes open. It's a rotten situation.
The season is still multiple weeks away from beginning, and this is where they are in Cleveland. Again, Todd Monken said that those comments will have nothing to do with his eventual decision. That just seems like something that you say.
And what happened next left Browns fans stunned, because Orlovsky said something no NFL analyst says lightly. He said if Watson is named the starter today, he wouldn't go to the games anymore. Think about that. A former NFL quarterback telling an entire fan base it's okay to walk away. That's not a hot take. That's a warning shot. Cleveland is a city starving for a reason to believe again, and right now, that reason has a rookie number on his jersey, not a $230 million one. Now pay attention to this. Todd Monken said the quarterback decision would have nothing to do with what Watson said in that press conference. But be honest, does anybody actually believe that? Because this isn't just a football decision anymore. It's a referendum on an entire organization's willingness to admit they got it wrong. $230 million wrong. And every extra day they wait to name Shedeur Sanders their guy is another day the city loses a little more faith. So here's the real question. Not who's the better quarterback right now. That answer is already staring Cleveland in the face. The real question is whether the Browns have the courage to admit that a 5th-round rookie outplayed the most expensive contract in franchise history. Because if they don't name Shedeur today, it won't be about football anymore. It'll be about ego, about sunk cost, about a front office too scared to say what everybody already knows. Whether you love Shedeur Sanders or you're still doubting him, one thing is becoming impossible to deny. Every time they counted him out, every time they said he wasn't ready, he kept giving people a reason to believe. And in a league built on money, contracts, and excuses, that might be the most dangerous thing of all. So Browns fans, is Cleveland finally ready to admit the truth? Drop your prediction in the comments right now. And if this story hit you the way it hit us, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this Browns quarterback saga is just getting started.